Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mochi XL Arena and of course to the RTP Arena where the Mochi event is taking place. $50,000 on the line, and we had some great games throughout the weekend, yesterday and today of course. We saw both semifinals finish just about an hour ago, SK taking the victory over none other than Win Strike, and now of course Hellraisers winning over, well, Giants obviously. In the grand finals, though, as I've mentioned, it is going to be SK versus Giants. Did I just say Giants? I meant Hellraisers. Damn it. Well, that's a bit of a...
You want it to happen.
Yeah, I want the Giants, obviously. But yeah, it's going to be Hellraisers versus SK, a best of 3 for $25,000 for first prize. Now, before we do jump into the details as to how and what and where and when, I would like to introduce the desk. Rema and Lucas joining me as always. It's been lovely, guys. We had a bit of a break. Did you eat something? Did you get something to drink?
I listened to some rap music.
I like it.
Chill.
Lucas, you slept?
Took a dump.
Oh my.
Best way to relax. I mean, what can I say?
I actually thought something is wrong with sewer, but I know what's happening now.
Okay,
My bad.
Okay. I'll try to ignore that. So basically, we will be having the best of 3 day grand finals between Hellraisers and SK Gaming. And we saw SK beat, obviously, a team that, we got the arena. Oh, nice. This is awesome to see. Nerf CZ, look at that beautiful sign. Oh, I love Mucho. What? I'm not getting it. The name. Okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it says I love Rema. You misread.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Love Rema. Yeah.
No worries.
So not to deviate from the point. To not deviate from the point, basically, we will be having a best of 3. Now, before we have the maps, I'm not sure which maps we'll be watching. Let's talk about the best of 3 itself. Hellraisers, SK, the teams themselves. Now, SK obviously show that they're still dominant. They're still the best team currently on this tournament, at least in terms of how they won against their opponent, QBF, Win Strike. Now, what about Hellraisers?
Yeah, the interesting part about this one is that Hellraisers is a top-tier team, right? But they haven't met SK in about a year and a half now. Last time they met, it was at E-League Major 2017. And basically after that, they did not play a single game. So definitely weird seeing how Hellraisers are performing at SK, but they maybe didn't have a chance and they weren't at the same tournaments and so on and so on. But hopefully we see a great matchup. Last time they met, I mean, SK were in their prime, right? With Taco, Cold Zero and whatnot. Phelps was there, FNX at one point in 2016, and they won pretty easily against Hellraisers. But Hellraisers, of course, had a different lineup. And I think at that point, they didn't have an opera that can match Fallen. In that previous lineup of Hellraisers. Now they have Voxic that's pretty good. He said that Fallen is one of his idols, that he learned a lot from him, and he now has a chance of playing against him. And maybe a bit of pressure can come his way, but all in all, I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see Voxic going up against Fallen, but just because of that duel between two of them.
Yeah, basically the idol obviously going up against the fan, or fan up against the idol. You know, it's always hard, as if a player, a young up-and-coming player in a semi-pro team going up against a Simple or Nico, you know, names that you had watched through your childhood, and in the end you're playing against it. But as you mentioned, Voxic being a great opera, obviously we have to mention Angel on the side of Hellraisers, one of the best IGLs, at least by the words of Voxic himself, and arguably is one of the greater IGLs currently out there, right? He has been performing quite well. Personally, he hasn't been, in a slump. He has been able to show up for his team, even though he is the IGL. Lucas, what's your take on that?
I mean, he's one of the best IGLs. What can you say? But I mean, SK, they're not too shabby themselves. Fallen has, as we discussed earlier, been doing the in-game leading for quite a while, but recently switched with Cold Zera. So, I mean, we haven't seen them experiencing any issues with that. I mean, I assume that if Cold Zera has a mental breakdown, I'm sure Fallen can jump in and help him out. I mean, the core of the team, they have played together for so long, so it's I don't think it's that big of a difference to put Stewie in, because 4 of them are really close to playing, and when it comes to mid-round calls or anything, they know where they have each other, they know how to play and how to will play off each other's backs. integrating Stu into this have been, I mean, it has been lowering their overall standard a little bit, but they're slowly but surely working their way back up. And I still think that even when Stu came in first and when they were at their lowest point, they were still better than Hellraisers.
Well, that's a fair point, fair assessment, I guess. You know, so Hellraisers have been lately performing quite better than in the past. They have had the most success as a team, I guess we could say, in the last, let's say, 2-3 months, right? They had been slowly but surely rising on the in the ranks as a team, and I guess we could point out, you know, Voxic, Isa, one of the I guess youngest players, I would say. Isa definitely one of the youngest players, I believe, on Hellraisers, if I'm not wrong.
I think so as well.
Yeah, pretty interesting. From a very underrepresented region as well.
Yeah. I mean, Isa, I mean, it has to be hard for him, you know, just the general background for him is special, right? And putting him in a team like Hellraisers and now playing in the top competitive scene is, like, it has to be extraordinary.
Yeah, the only thing Hellraisers need to do is transfer that that performance from online league to LAN. And also, they have a bit of a trouble when it comes to visa issues. Yeah. Like every single time they have to travel somewhere, they have visa issues either with Voxic.
Usually America, right?
Yeah. Voxic, Turkey and whatnot. But I think that's probably the biggest problem for the team, that even when they qualify for some event, they are not able to attend, and I think that's what's bringing team down, or team morale down as well, because they are performing quite well online. They have really good results against some of the better European teams, but when it comes to LAN, it seems like they're not really playing their A game. I don't know if it's maybe because of the crowd, because of the pressure to perform well off your results of online. So everything comes into place, but all things considered, I definitely think that SK are the favorites in this one, just because of how they played recently and how they played that best of 3 before.
Yeah.
You good?
Lucas, are you okay?
Yeah.
That was awkward.
Producer cracked the joke.
Yeah, Lucas.
Glad I got that out of my system.
I heard it, but I was just trying to ignore it.
I'm good. I'm good.
For the sake of the desk.
Let's get serious for a moment. Obviously, Hellraisers, they performed against Giants definitely worse than we had imagined, than we had expected. Giants, in my opinion,
Hellraisers.
Excuse me, Hellraisers.
Again.
Yeah. Hellraisers against Giants. Yes, of course, Hellraisers performed definitely a lot worse than Giants. Giants just... it was a surprising result out of them, especially on map number 1. I mean, they showed that they are a skillful team, and Hellraisers had a lot of issues. Even on train, they had a lot of issues. So how will that translate into the game against SK? As you mentioned, you know, Hellraisers obviously having perhaps issues with mentality, having perhaps issues with a little bit of nervousness, you know, having the anxiety playing on a big stage. Perhaps in a long time they haven't been on a big stage such as this in a long time, we could say. And you think this affects them quite, a lot?
Not really. SK are one of the top tier teams that don't get affected. When it comes to facing underdogs and then losing against underdogs. They're actually like FaZe, for example. They very, very rarely lose against like a tier 2 team coming up in a qualifier. So. It's usually them facing or losing against the other top teams like Astralis, for example.
Yeah, you also about Hellraisers.
I meant Hellraisers, but but good point for SK. Obviously, SK.
Of course, Hellraisers. I definitely think that pressure can come into play, especially when they play against SK, the team they haven't faced for a while. But on the other side, I definitely think that Hellraisers are more prepared for SK than they were prepared for Giants. They practically, in my opinion, picking Dust 2, even though they lost it, in my opinion, they wanted to gamble a bit. Like, let's go for aim duels and try to take them on that, take the first map, and the second map was already in their favor, I would say, kinda. So, kinda from map pick, I would say that they didn't really prepare anything for Giants. They just went in raw, as some would say. But when it comes to playing against SK, I think Angel is going to have a lot better calls, that they're going to have a better reads in terms of rotations and everything. So we might see a close best of 3, if nothing else.
Of course, thing to notice, perhaps, not only that they can, I guess, prepare better against SK, because SK are a more known team. There's more demos on them. You can watch them play more often, and definitely, I think preparation is key here. In this case, for the Hellraisers, we will be having, I just received word, by the way, Cash, Overpass, and Mirage as our maps for the best of 3. So Mirage will be the decider. Cash has been picked by SK, if I heard correctly, which means we'll be kicking it off with their map pick once more. Hellraisers picking the side, presumably CT. But before we jump into the map themselves, I guess the best thing to mention here would be, as we started off, obviously, with Hellraisers having a bit of a bump against Giants. Do you think that this bump will be now cleaned out? Do you think they will be finally focused? Will they be ready for this game?
I definitely think that they had time to relax and be prepared for this game. They definitely expected the SK to be in finals, so they had time to watch them also, because they finished the game before SK started, and they had time to watch them and see their tendencies and whatnot, to see if they missed something, maybe use a couple of flaws that SK has in rotations and whatnot. Angel, as I said, I think he is the best CS in-game leader right now, and that he can read those situations pretty well. It also depends if his star players are going to perform for him, and not only him, for example, stepping out with calls. He needs Voxic to be beast with AWP to make those crucial frags, to maybe go on a pair with Fallen, try to get him down, maybe for the first time ever, who knows. And on the other side, maybe we see Cold Zero now stepping up. He didn't, for example, he didn't really have that much of a good game when they played against Winstrike or XQBF, but they still won, right? Fallen had amazing games too. He had amazing game as well. But if, for example, Cold Zero steps up, even with those 3, I think Hellraisers are definitely in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess let's move on to our first map picked by SK. Lucas, Cash is the map we'll be looking at, and definitely a map that is, let's say balanced to a certain point. Definitely demands a lot of CT presence, CT control overall, and demanding a very large amount of IGLing. And how will that pertain to Hellraisers' start?
I think they're gonna have a very tough start, because mainly Cash is a map where SK feel incredibly comfortable on. Since the core that have played for so long together, they're very good playing duos. They're very good playing in couples. For example, B site and the A side, when they split up, playing 2 on each side, they're so good at varying their positions, whenever they play double ops, or putting in double ops, holding the long angles, having a lot of crossfires, baits. It's just really a joy, and a lot of what SK do on Cash, especially on the CT side, is just, textbook example. If a newer team wants to come study how to play Cash on the CT side and Google it, then they'll get a bunch of SK clips and examples on how to do it. So I have a very hard time seeing Hellraisers accomplishing anything in Cash, especially on their T side. Then they will have to break SK on when SK plays on the T side, and I believe that will be their only chance.
Yeah, T-side Cash is quite difficult. There's a lot of angles, or more precisely, there's not a lot of angles you can play from. There's a very static way of play you can do. Either you play defensively, aggressively, you have a few executes you can play from, but mainly it's like mid-take. That's like the primary thing you have to go for. And Rem, I think mid-take is going to be vital on both sides. Yeah,
I look at this map like I look at Mirage, for example. I think they are both similar in terms of taking control of mid and then working out of that. Gives you a lot of freedom, a lot of options to split A, to split B through vents. Also, players need to, for City at that point, need to take control either of main or B. It's a really tough task when you, for example, go for B push to get control of Toxic, for example, and then AWP waits you at T-spawn at fence, probably the worst angle in the game. I hate it. I really hate it. But overall, it can ruin your plans. You lose mid, you want to get something back in return. If you don't, I think it's definitely a huge mistake by team not getting control of something if they lose something on the map, not having information. But Cash, disregarding the executes, couple of them, I would say it's all going to come down to aim duels, and whoever starts strong, especially SK. If the SK once again starts strong like they did against QBF, or win streak.
Yeah.
I think they definitely can perform once again like they did and win this in that kind of a fashion, like 16-7, 16-8.
Yeah, I like that prediction. I think it's a clear prediction. It makes a lot of sense since it is SK we're looking at. Obviously, I'll have to ask the tough question on Lucas. You again, Cash prediction.
Means that you want to score as well.
Not necessarily,
Not
but
necessarily.
win or
Oh, well.
lose,
SK will win.
SK will win.
I think the Hellraisers won't get more than 10 rounds. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah, especially because SK picked the map. I don't remember actually Hellraisers playing that cache so often. Maybe I'm mistaken,
Yeah.
but I'll check that one out. But usually you can see them perform on more strategical maps. I
Yeah.
would say like Mirage gives you a lot of options with smokes, overpass as well. We
Indeed,
saw them
Train,
overpass.
Train
Yeah, Train.
was shown to be a good map.
Yeah,
for them.
Train as well. So I don't think I would agree with Lucas. I don't think they're going to get more than 10 rounds in cash.
I have to stand with you there, but I think there is a potential for more than just 10 rounds because if they have a good CT half, which is a very difficult half to have a good half on, if you put it like that, basically, you know, rotations are going to have to be on point. Players, communications, map control is going to have to be absolutely on point for Hellraisers to be able to even contend against SK's T side. We will be, of course, seeing that in Vale in a few moments. So, guys, before we see Cash, we'll be having a short commercial break. Until then, we'll see you right back. All right, then.
Huawei P20 Lite com câmara dupla traseira. Fotos que surpreendem.
Clash Royale. Destrói os teus amigos sem gastar net. Mosh, é isto.
Remember this. This is Green Hell. Take care. That's what I'm doing, man. That was amazing, guys. Great lap, Lewis. That was good. Box takes box. Good job, Lewis. Good job. That was wicked!
AMG, 50 years of driving performance.
Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.